lets you choose whether you're just doing pads. So we have 2 pads. Red and black. Just plug into here, and all you need on top of this is a wet sponge or wet sponge, wet gauze. They say all you have to do is wet this, but the wetter the better. So you've got 1 channel, 2 pads the same size, okay? If you do, then negative, positive, but it's a pulse, so you don't have to worry so much about the chemical buildup, okay? If I choose dispersive, then I plug in my dispersive jack right in here, and it goes to this pad, okay? And then this pad will be one polarity, and both of these will be the opposite polarity. And you choose the polarity of the active pads. So if I wanted and needed both of these to be positive or both of these to be negative, I could only get that through the dispersive setup. And it looks like a high volt, but it doesn't have the base frequency to be a high volt. It's still a low volt, okay? If I don't have the dispersive in, this doesn't matter. That's negative, that's positive. Little pads. Okay? But if I need both of those to be the same thing, then I need the dispersive pad. Okay? And this one has the sponge and the wet gauze, just like over here did. All right? For the selector knob, you have 4 options of rate and mode that are pre-selected. Selector 1, 2, 3, and 4. Selector 1 is continuous high rate. It's written, it's in there in your notes. Okay? So if you want continuous high rate, you choose number 1. Number 2 is interrupted high rate. That's the closest you're going to get on this unit for muscle re-ed, but it's not interrupted surged. And it's not off long enough. It's on for 10 seconds, off for 2. So it's a very minimal interrupted. It really is more for edema than for muscle re-ed. Okay? Number 3 is continuous low rate at 2 pulses per second. And then number 4, they call it interrupted low rate, but it's really not ever off. It's more of a switching low rate because it goes 10 seconds at 2 pulses per second and then 10 seconds at 5 pulses per second. Both by definition low rate, but it switches. So if you want to be a little more aggressive than the continuous low rate, just at 2, it switches between 2 and 5 pulses per second every 10 seconds. Okay? So you think what you're treating, you set your electrodes up accordingly, you choose your mode and rate by the selector knob. Okay? The timer activates the unit, and then you turn up the intensity knob. Now this knob, it feels like you're going round, 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 and the needle's barely moving. So it is a little deceptive in that. But you get it turned up to your desired effect, sensory or motor, and turn your intensity accordingly. Okay? What I want you to do today is to think about, I want you to feel all 4 selectors. Each person feel each one of those. But at least for one of them, be thinking about, okay, I would be treating whatever. I'm treating acute pain here. I'm treating edema here. I'm treating a muscle spasm here. And then you're deciding, do I need the dispersive? Because I want these to be the same polarity. Do I not need the dispersive? And actually set them up as if you were doing that treatment and make the correct selector switch, but then fill the other 4. Okay? As you're changing between selectors, you don't have to turn it all the way down, but back the intensity off, switch, turn it back up, because some may be higher than you need in different settings. Okay, that's the soaking. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. You'll have to get straps to hold these on because they won't hold in place. Okay, questions about the soaking? Okay, what's next?